Hi, I'm Benjie Heu, and this is For Art's Sake. Well, my name is Benjie Heu, and this is some of my work here at Parkland College. And the work over here, obviously it relates because of color, same glazes, two different bodies of work, yet they kind of relate. This larger supervising head here, you think so, this was out of the whole notion of like a parent looking down on you, even though it's like a baby. Who's the boss? Who's in charge? I talked about earlier today that the boo-boo head, that scar that we carry with us, that kind of starts defining who we are, how we perceive things. These pieces over here, these over here are a little bit more related, I guess. Out of the boo-boo head, there's this kick of, I called him Zombie Boy. A lot of my titles are nicknames. Zombie Boy is he's still a kid. He's not too happy to be there, but he's there. And the droneness of you must have a good time. You must be entertained. You're at Disney World, but we're just kind of going through the Walking Dead to get from A to B. And also, just for me as an artist, I really wanted to just make like something that had like these guts to show like that these are bodies. And I just wanted to try it. I really dug it. These over here, this is the first time I've shown these anywhere. These have the cross section in them where you can see their insides, their guts. But this is I have some ideas that I have that still need to mature a little bit. But this idea that we are being, if you look at the cross section, it's not blood. It's these pustules. And I was hoping if you look closely, you might see that these are pills. Need to work on that a little bit, I think. But the notion that we have medication and preservatives and artificial sweeteners and colors and things like that in our system that are kind of keeping us alive for all the wrong reasons. And so, this is like it's the young kid and the old man, but it's also kind of like the before and the after of this overweight child. And he's not really that healthy. When I glaze things, I know if it's going to boil and crack. I'm looking for that. So he's even looking kind of bloated, and the old man is, he's shriveled up and he's wrinkling, and his insides are full, but they're just being held together with all these pills. And it's really kind of out of a little my personal views, which I still need to work out, that we have all this just medication keeping you alive when you don't need to. And I mean, medicine is important and you need it if you need it, but a lot of people go straight to, I need a pill. Something as simple as, achoo, where's my allergy medicine? I'm like, well, what if you just swept up in here and closed the windows? Maybe you wouldn't sneeze, I've got high cholesterol. It's like, oh, you better pop a pill instead of, maybe I should watch what I eat and I should get some exercise. So that goes through my head. Okay, so this one, Delicious. I'm really excited about this one because I got this out of the kiln a couple days before the show, before I delivered. So it was part of some newer pieces, and when I made this, it was actually on a snow day. It was great to just be in the studio making things. And I'd made it, I knew these pieces were going to be in the show, which I've never shown, but I was thinking about artificial things in your food, artificial colors, sweeteners, things like that, and how it affects us. And I was thinking about just that gooiness, ooey, I don't know how to describe it. Just it's not real, it's not right, yet it is. It's kind of strange. And at first I was thinking, well, I'm going to just make this person with crazy hair dripping down. And then it just turned into the whole head. And then as far as the color goes, I was thinking I need to move away from the red. I don't know why yellow was calling my name. I was like, oh, these yellow glazes, because I just like glazes. And I'm just like, I don't do it all the time, but I will just start brushing on glazes, look up recipes, I see recipes my students are using, and I go, hey, let me see that. I'm going to mix up a few variations of that. And I came up with a couple yellows and oranges and reds and applied it to this. But this piece, Delicious, was just that whole, like, it doesn't matter how bad it is for you, you know, it tastes good, you know. I don't care about the consequences. I don't know if it really reads that way, but it felt good. I never made anything with these globular swarms on them before, except for that old man's guts, but this was like, you know, coming out. It's kind of simple. This piece is called Are We There Yet? And this is really inspired by my family. It's obviously this guy with the boo-boo head and dunce cap leading the way on this beast. A lot of my work is born out of this idea of the hero's journey. And the work is really, and it's always a personal narrative. And the narrative, it usually contains the hero and all of his trials and tribulations along his journey. And this hero's journey is not only a physical journey, but a journey within himself, a journey of self-discovery that leads to experience and hopefully enlightenment. Sometimes, if we're lucky. The hero in this, the characters in this little narrative here is basically, you know, are we there yet? And that's like a metaphor, or a phrase you hear a lot, but it's a metaphorically used here. And the journey, you know, into the belly of the beast, so to speak. The belly of the beast in any narrative is where there are a lot of obstacles that need to be overcome to get to the ending point. And the belly of the beast can be literally like a war, a battle, or it can just be meandering through the dark forest. And in this case, for the any family, are we there yet? Is always the sounds you hear with the, we're 2 minutes into a 10-hour trip. Are we there yet? No, we're not. So there's always, are we there yet? So we're on this beast that is basically like a metaphor like for life. And I'm at the helm, smartphone in one hand, coffee in the other, and it's like I'm kind of in charge, but I'm not really in charge. Because the back seat, which this is like my kitchen table, my dining room table, of the family working itself out, and it's like, you know, what you see is what you get. The woman, my wife, is got the computer out, and she's checking out everything that's going on. We're scheduling, we're planning, we're figuring things out. My daughter's got the crown on her head, having a great time playing with her dolls. This is kind of an older piece. And this is actually the kind of reference to my son, who's got his homework out. And then I'm driving and listening and, you know, trying to make things happen in my own little world. And we have all these little conversations and arguing and laughing and crying. And then, of course, throw my pets in there. At the time, my dog was very sick, and there he is on the floor. But the metaphor of life, are we there yet? I think a lot of families can identify with it. I know I've had a lot of people go, oh, this is cool. It's like a cool monster, man. He's holding a smartphone. But then you have a lot of parents, you know, there's a lot of dads who go, hey, that is dead on. Holy cow, I'm really happy with this one because that's my life too. Are we there yet? Like, in so many ways. So I make a lot of work about my family, and not directly like, this is my wife, this is my son, and here's what they look like, and every little thing about them. They're not actual literal portraits, but I use them as a just jumping off point, because I'm hoping that the personal narrative is, not only does it teach me a lot about myself, but I'm hoping that it helps the viewer learn something about themselves. So it's really kind of a teaching device as well. It is always a struggle for me to find common ground between what I want to make work about and having people understand it. You know, every artist here says, what is it? What does it mean? That's always a tough one. So jumping again with the family, these pieces over here were made in a series. I don't have the little piece that was like my son element in here. I sold that, but this is kind of a implied portrait of us. And so we have, he's a big boy, she's a big girl, and just blatantly my little girl, which these feel like they're pretty clear to read. As far as adults, you're married to your phone, seems like, and you're trying to stand strong and be stoic, and you need to have your smartphone with you at all times. And at the time I made this is my daughter. She's much older now, but the whole notion of this cute little girl with her little toys, but she's got the power, clearly. I mean, how much more symbolism do you need? Now, these are the only pieces in the show that have mold-made elements. Some of the older pieces I made, actually some of these too, I'm thinking of dolls, figurines, the glass eyes in dolls' heads. So when I got these molds from old porcelain dolls and used them for the arms and the legs, and even like this little flower that actually is from a real gun. and dulls, and I put those together with the hand-built objects, I was hoping like juxtaposing those two elements together would really make it pop. At the time, I really, really liked it. It looked great. I don't know about so much anymore, but I really love the surfaces, and what I want out of the surface of these to get to the pieces, they're all monochromatic blue. Blues, I got a really good, calm, soothing tone for me, because it's monochromatic, you can really start to just look at the form. There's not a lot of attention to really minute little details, and emphasizing that I can use that form as a canvas for the glazes. So I have the porous glazes, those little holes, the crustiness on there. For me, that's also kind of like us. Not only our pores, but like it's like a sieve. What do we absorb? What do we retain? What do we repel? So I just try to keep it as simple as I could. I find a simple glaze palette helps me also figure things out. I'm not real good at coloring things in. That's why this newer stuff is so challenging. It's like, I got to color in elements. If I had to sit here and go, the hands are gray and things are blue, I'm not dressing them. I was kind of hoping to get some of that emotion out of the piece. Yeah, I really like these. I need to make a whole figure too, instead of just a head. I want to get back to it. In the studio, I've got like some wet clay going now. So I'm thinking about making like this overweight boy hanging on the wall in yellow glazes. So we'll see how that goes. All right, well, these are just some oil pastel drawings that I had done. They're really just it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. They're not actually blueprints for this is what I'm gonna make, but it's just part of like the creative process of like drawing. This one is clearly I did a drawing about the sculpture, whereas this was just like a drawing I just did. And then this is actually what I drew that other piece, but I had not glazed that other piece. So this was kind of a plan. I'm like, is this gonna work? And I have just the basic set of oil pastels, and I just kind of went at it and said, maybe this will work. I don't know, we'll see. So it's kind of neat to see this one, and now I'm like, no, all right. The Mickey Mouse motif with the child, where does that come from? Well, obviously Disney World, making trips to Disney World, Mickey Mouse is everywhere in our culture, permeates everything we do. Even though I don't think anybody can name a Mickey Mouse movie. I can name all the Disney princess movies and the Pixar films. But it's just an iconic hat, which really represents a lot. I kind of wonder how anybody can relate to it if you don't have kids and you've never been to Disney World. There's something about you have to take your kids to Disney World. And there's so much more than it's just taking them to a location. It is an experience on so many levels. And as a parent, watching all of this happen, how your kids experience it, and how other parents are experiencing it is really an eye-opener. And so you can get cynical. There's a lot of people who don't like Disney, but I really like Disney. But when I was there, I did say, this does feel like zombies, like we're all just kind of walking to the next ride, to the next event, to wait in line, slowly trudging along until we get to the front. I'd be like, we've been here 2 hours, But if I was like animal ears, even like with little kids, I don't know why we're attracted to that. Animals' ears, hats that have ears on them, the stocking caps that have ears on them. The kid's hoodie has animal ears on them. I just really like them. It's like wow, where the wild things are, It's like just you become something else for a moment in time. It's a pretend time. I just always liked them. But like the lonely kind of disgruntled, like, I don't say disgruntled, but like, the Disney identity, but yet there's nothing there. I don't know if I'm processing all the whole flack of like, all those Disney stars become crazy people. So I don't know if that's probably not part of it, but I just like the ears, and they're a good design element too. It's hard not to just put those on every little thing. Everybody gets a Disney Mickey Mouse hat. Yeah, I should do other hats. I should do baseball cap, I guess. I don't know. I don't wear hats, so. This is from Heart to Hand. This is an older piece of mine that I made when my son was very young, and my daughter was we're going to be born within a year. And so, this whole journey of it's a take on a book, an accordion book. The heart and the hand are the bookends. There's a lot in the hero's journey. I talk about the conflict the hero has between passion and intellect. And so this is kind of like, passion and intellect, I think, using your hands and your heart. And just thinking about it as a nice wall piece. I'm letting a lot of my knowledge of materials flow through. I love clay, what it can do. So we have bare clay, bare porcelain here. This is a red stoneware or brown stoneware with no glazes on it. And then this is salt fire. This is just a manganese wash that I've wiped off. And this is just a crackling slip that's in a salt kiln. And it's not really meant to be read and understood, though I imagine there is an actual story in here because this is my handwriting. But I have like 2 sets of texts in here, but it's really just like I think it was using my work like a diary in those days, like cups where I was just writing things down on. This was just writing things down on it. And if I had to make up another story for it, this is clearly my dilemma of trying to retain myself, changing diapers, dealing with my dog and cats, and taking care of the house, the commute with the minivan, the battle between being a good guy and a bad guy, and getting a grip on it the whole time. So that's about it. I missed this. My dog passed away last year, and there he is. So there's this older piece. I think it really ties in well with the personal narrative and the whole journey. It works very like a diary, like a personal trip. And then these drawings over here, this is oil pastel on gessoed paper. This is some of the newest work. What I like about the drawings is they're very immediate. Making a clay piece takes time. Even if I can just make it like a clay piece in a day, it's still going to take me time to dry, a couple days to dry, a couple days to fire, a couple days to mix up some glazes and glaze fire it. So I'm looking at least 3 weeks for the simplest thing. Well, I could do one of these in a day. It just takes the time to actually just sit down and do it and then go, this is going to work. And it does take the edge off of it too, as soon as I realized, hey, you're not really known as anybody who draws and paints, so just be cool, just let it go. I actually had a friend who's a painter who's very good at painting tell me that. He says, just let yourself be happy. You're not competing with everybody else in the art world. Just do some drawings. I was like, got it. So these pieces kind of connect with the idea of the evolution of the hero, and it's also bringing in some of my own personal feelings that I'm trying to figure out, again, about health and nutrition and diagnosing yourself, and we're also relying on modern medicine and what's in our food. It's not clearly stated and spelled out. It's very stylized. I'm working things out, which made it kind of fun that it was a drawings. But this whole notion that in life when you're young, you that loss of innocence. There's that hurt, not a physical, someone beat you over the head, but that you have this emotional scar. That's like the first time you've cried, the first time you were left alone, which as a parent, you'd be like, he's gonna be okay. There's nothing wrong with him, just let him cry, I'm right over here, you're gonna be okay. Like finding that love you think you need. And then as you get to become a teenager or older, replacing that hurt, accepting that hurt, but then filling that void with vices, and the reason I chose the pills is, just thinking about how suppressing the pain. I've heard testimonials from drug addicts, which is literally the problem with pills. And then there's also a lot of people I know, and people I've got this is alien, better take all this, their medicine cabinet, it's really huge. And I'm one of those guys I don't want to take anything. I don't know what's going on. I like to just trust people, but I'm getting more and more, where does our food come from? So I'm thinking, there are hormones and hidden things, hidden colorants, and then also with modern medicine, again, if you're sick, please take some medicine, but if you're just taking it because you think you have something, this is, I've got a sore knee, I better take all this medicine, wrap it up, or I'm sneezing, you take something, don't worry about it, just clean up or get healthy, get some exercise. But I just feel like I can see this in older people. I'm getting older. My friends are much older, and I'm talking more and more with my dad now as another adult than a my dad. And I see that in other older, it's not just, this is not my dad at all, but like just saying that the notion you've lived this life and you're still searching for that loss or to fill that void. And no matter how much pills you can accumulate to make you happy or how much wealth you can attain, you're still kind of miserable, so I'm just kind of digesting it. To me, they're very graphic, they're very cartoony. I kind of thought of each page as a cell in a comic book. If I could go through and I started naming like illustrators that I can think of, like this to me feels very like old Akio Takamori with his painterly slip work, and then this reminds me of Frank Miller, a comic book illustrator, and this reminds me of Charles Burns. And I'm fans of all three of them. So after I drew that, I was like, wow, this is all kind of coming out. This is so strange. And then I like with comic books, the black, white, and a third color. A lot of times it's black, white, and red. Or even like when I did some of those chili bowls in the slide talk, they were like the blue, white, and black, the black, white, blue. I was thinking of comic books, black, white, and blue. So I went with the yellow on this. Outlandish Adventures. I thought that, I know it's the title of the show. I didn't have a title for it, and it just clicked, the Outlandish Adventure. It's like anything goes. And I love this piece. And I finished this like the day before I drove it up. And I didn't know it was going to be a piece either. I had no intention of it being a finished piece. This was a roll of paper in my studio, and I had drawn like he's a big boy, the fighter guy, and I think I drew this baby head, and then I think I had and then I drawn this guy because there was a time when I thought I was gonna make a lot more of these people on the backs of creatures, and on their journey they were on, and obviously the couple. Working out their problems, some of the motif I've always had. And it's just chalk, regular chalk on blue paper. And I started just freely drawing and filling in, having a really good time, stream of consciousness. And this is what I ended up with. So I think there's a lot of things in here that I like. There's the hero's journey here, literally. Obstacles, threshold, guardians, monsters, objects of desire, more monsters, the enlightenment. I've got like the cross up here, this journey. I've also a little bit of my health is coming in here. That stuff I was talking about, like health and fitness. So there's like kettlebells and jump rope and plates, weight plates. But then there's still like the unhealthy people talking about their pills. Imagery bounces off each other in here. This is not like this means this. Was really a lot of fun. It is so liberating sometimes to find a material that just kind of looks good from the very beginning. I don't know if that's ever happened. Like sometimes I'll make work and click, oh, that looks great. Just leave it the way it is. Just leave it that color. It's all good. I'm not worried about it. It was that easy. And those are painstaking. I'm coloring in the lines and I'm testing a zillion glazes to get the right shade of whatever. This one was like, oh, this is just like a drawing. And the chalk looks so good on the blue. So that was very free and loose. I was not drawing it in a very big space either. So I only got the back up to about right here when I saw it. And I was always, if I wanted the whole shot, I had to look at an angle like this. So to see in here is gorgeous. What I mean by the material earlier was like, you can just put down a line and it's done. Blows my mind. It looks so good. I was like, maybe let's just do more drawing. All right, so the frame of mind making this was very stream of consciousness, meaning I was just really having a lot of fun working on this open canvas. Felt like a big comic book panel. And then with these pieces over here, it was almost the same kind of format of, instead of a piece of paper, I built like a three-dimensional canvas. And I would carve these drawings into them, or I call them drawings. And so we have these nice low relief drawings on here. And these pieces all relate. They tell a story that's based loosely on events that happened in my own life, and my family's life. And so you can go through and read through. They do stand alone if you'd like to ever just have one by themselves. This was Perplexity at First Sight, and it's through the eyes of a child. My two children, they were much younger when I made these. And the curiosities, the journey, of childhood and what's right, what's wrong, how to process it. Children inventing their own stories and narratives to make the world make sense. Like they're inventing their own mythology. And so if you look in here, for me, the main character is right there in the middle. It's almost like children's drawing style and Egyptian drawing. It's like the same kind. It's like the tallest guy here in the middle must be the most important. And it's just like, you know, the robot god, the superheroes, the spaceship, the ghosts. And it all seems very innocent in a child's drawing until you start asking them to figure out what's going on. You realize that's the bad guy and he's there to hurt you and that skull is death. And you're like, this is kind of deep. Like this is the same thing as like a giant Renaissance painting or something. And so with that in mind, this one, difficult decisions, is, you know, when life gets a little bit more real. And especially for little kids. For adults, it's always very real. But for young children, this one's rendered a little bit better. This is one of my favorites. The open right up, going, acknowledging, yeah, there's evil in the world. You know, like going, there's poison. There's a bad guy, you know, and he's like this demon devil guy. That it exists in this world, you know, it is there. And you have to stop sometimes while you're playing and acknowledge it and look at it and keep your distance or do what you need to do. So yeah, there's definitely like the good side, the happy little sugary house over here and the dog, and then on this side is from this one has like the angry robot. There's another angry robot and like it's like a turtle lizard monster thing and the bottle of poison. And then the glass eyes, I made these. I started thinking of like dolls again. I don't know why I'm thinking of dolls. I'm thinking of toys, and they have the glass eyes in them, the lids that open up and shut. And I really want to have that eyes open, perplexed, startled look. They are kind of astonishing to look at. Like, ooh. So, moving on over to here, these other two pieces, these relate like the other two did. And so we have It's Your Fault We're in This Mess, and then this one is Let's Start Over Again. And it is about the husband and wife and how you can argue, but you're still a couple and you do everything you can to make it work. It is definitely not like all fun and games. Just like the pieces about the children, life isn't just happy, happy, joy, joy, where's the dessert? It's like there's an edge to every little thing. The pieces are dark. There's a bronze skin-like surface to them, kind of reinforcing the hero's journey. It's a human experience. And I really want to stress that it's real, and I'm hoping that people can connect with that. And sometimes it takes like a big person to go, yeah, man, me and my wife argue too. You know, you just got to deal with it. You know, if you don't argue with your best friend, then you got a weird relationship because somebody in there is secretly not happy. So it's always a power struggle, and that's really what these were about. They're basically arguing over whose fault it is that we lost our happiness. And then this is about, coming back together and going, you know what, the world is a tough place and it's pretty crazy, but we're gonna stay together. And that's why they've got the plant back up and they go, let's just get up and get out of here and we'll figure this out. I really enjoyed working on these four pieces. It's a lot like the drawings. I would build the basic form and I would just look at them and go, now you're a canvas, what do you want to be? And I knew there were going to be faces, but I really wanted to draw more. Sometimes I just really want to draw, and I just put it in there. But when I say drawing, I am marking a line, but then I take my loop tools, my trimming tools, and I'm carving in low relief planes. And I am thinking about glazes will fill in cracks and break over edges and how it will look. These pieces in particular, I knew exactly what I was going to glaze them with before I even made them, because I knew that I wanted that dark skin-like quality and I wanted this metallic look. There was a time where I didn't want my work to look like it was made out of clay. So this is one way people go, those made out of metal, but they have like kind of an ancient relic kind of feel to them, which I really enjoy. Yeah, I really like these. It's kind of nice looking at old work.